In a world crying out for a top 10 show, John Roca and Matt Nost are here. So grab your assigned seat, sit back, and enjoy this week's Top 10. Brought to you by the Schmoes Know Network. Take it away, boys.
Welcome, everybody, to this week's Thunderdome.
Think about it, if we had big ass guitar riff behind that and some fucking pyrotechnics,
and then an explosion at the end.
yeah, we need to turn this into a video show.
Totally. We walk slow motion into the camera.
Oh, beautiful! There's a wind machine just off camera, fluffing our short hair. It doesn't really have the same effect without long hair.
We have to wear the mullets. The mullet.
Oh, it's a mullet. You don't want to just go long hair and go like full like.
Oh no! Thunderdome in Thunderdome and Mad Max, they all had mullets.
Yeah,
even Gibson had a mullet in that one.
Yeah, but at the same time, let's just go with long hair or shaved head.
I want to get a child to put on my back so I can be so you can be Master Blaster, and I can be the big dumb idiot. Anyway, Thunderdome. This week we gave you guys a choice between Snatch and Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels.
Yep. Two Guy Ritchie classics.
Two Guy Ritchie. Yeah, I'm John Roca.
I am Matt Nost.
This is the Top 10 show, and we are going to talk about Snatch. That won hands down.
It was closer than some of the other votes.
Oh, really?
Well, I mean, not like close, because a bunch of these others have just been flat out one-sided, like ridiculously so. At least some of the Lock, Stock people came out.
Right. This isn't like an old school Denver Super Bowl. This is competitive.
Yeah, this is. At least they put some numbers on the board. They put some points on the board. What was if you had to choose? What was your choice?
I love Snatch to pieces, but it would have been fun to revisit Lock, Stock because it's been a while.
I'm kind of partial to Lock, Stock because it's the first time.
Yeah,
and there's nothing better than that. And to see, but like. Snatch is a better version of that movie in a lot of ways because he's juggling even more balls and characters in Snatch. And it's impressive how many people he can weave in and out, and you still kind of feel like you know all of them.
Yes.
Even though there's so little screen time for all these kind of extra guys on certain sides, like on the Pikeys. They go 25 deep. But it's just like, I don't care. I actually buy into the world that he's creating for all these people.
No, and you make a good point, Matt. I do like the villain in Snatch better, Bricktop, and he was
Bricktop is great,
right? And he was Sting's friend in Lock, Stock, the actor rather. But I like the governor in Lock, Stock a lot, which is the big heavy of Harry.
Beats a man with the dildo, doesn't he? Yeah.
But he's a real life, like he was a real life bare knuckle boxing champion, that guy, and he's a reputation. He worked for the mob, I think. He has a whole that guy.
I thought that guy was the tall, bald guy that was stocky, huge.
That's what I'm saying. That's him.
I thought you were talking about the guy with the mustache that cheats at cards, or does he have a mustache? I can't remember.
Oh yeah, no, not him. That's Harry. He's the main villain in Lock, Stock. Yeah. But his henchman is the guy.
Yeah, is the bare knuckles. You can tell this guy is a former boxer.
Right. In real life, his nickname was the Governor, and that's the Governor. And so in Britain, he's well known for being. It's almost like a pseudo Vinnie Jones before Vinnie Jones. He was kind of this rough guy. He grew up through the. I think he grew up through organized crime stuff and became a fighter and all this. And became like a bouncer, but then found fame because of his looks and his voice. And so I love him in Lock, Stock whenever the fact that they use his audio clips on the soundtrack is heaven to me. I think he's one of these characters that you see in a film and you're just like, this is a real life person. That's a real life person. And you can tell that fucker's seen some shit, And
well, he just seems too good to be true as a real life person. Yeah. It seems like something that was made up for the movies.
You need to watch his documentary on YouTube. It's like an hour and a half. It'll blow your mind.
All right.
Shit he was into. But yeah, and is it? Oh right, you're the brains of the outfit, anyhow. That kind of stuff. It's such a great deep voice guy. Anyway, we're talking about Snatch. Lot of I guess famous, and then a lot of famous actors in this movie. Jason Statham, Brad Pitt, Benicio del Toro,
Farina,
Dennis Farina.
Yeah, but this was before Vinnie Jones was big.
Right. Then Lenny, the guy that's in Walking Dead now, who was in Jericho, the black dude, he's in this.
Oh, yeah.
He plays one of the dudes.
Trying to think. The guy that plays Tommy.
Yeah.
He's been in a million things. Like, he was Capone in Boardwalk Empire.
Yeah.
He's had a bunch of... I liked him from this.
Yes.
And then to see him continue to work is great. I like that about, like, the Lock Stock guys.
Yeah.
Like, you see those guys pop up every once and again.
Yeah, Jason Fleming works all the time. He was Jekyll and Hyde in the Van Helsing thing or whatever.
Well, in the chef or the cook or whichever, I can't remember his name in it.
Yeah.
He was in Band of Brothers.
Right.
He was, he's popped up every once in a while and be like, I love that guy. That's great. He's still working. That's awesome.
He's heavier now.
Well,
you see him.
It happens.
The guy, Nick Moran, the main guy in Lock Stock, he tried to make a go of it in America as his lead in a couple of films, and they never really
I never saw him after that.
Never really worked out. Who knew Statham was going to be the blow-up guy out of that crew? It's so hilarious. But yeah, the film basically is Jason Statham and the guy from Boardwalk Empire. They're Tommy, his name Tommy, and I forget what Jason.
In Turkish.
Turkish, right? Tommy and Turkish. They're these low-level hoodlums who have a bare-knuckle boxer, George, that's on their
they're
team.
quote-unquote managers.
Yeah, they're managers of this guy, and they have to work with Bricktop in the lower side of the underworld.
Well, it's fight fixing.
Yeah.
And we're betting on specific outcomes. That's how we make our money,
right? But they're involved in other things too. Like that brings them. The fight fixing brings them in contact with all these characters. But they're low life. They have like what do they call those? What do they call those slots machines that they own? So they've got these revenue streams in their career, in their lives. But the bare knuckle boxing champion is what brings all this shit into the story with Bricktop and trying to get the caravan from Brad Pitt, then finding out that Brad Pitt was the Gypsy Bare Knuckles champion. Then they get involved with that.
He takes out Gorgeous George with one punch.
Right.
And Brad Pitt looks like he actually... I mean, look, he had fight clubs, that there's all the fight training there,
right.
And it just goes into this, but especially on that Gorgeous George, he blocks with his left and comes through so beautifully with the right.
Yep.
It looks, real. It looks real.
Yep.
If that happened in front of you, I would assume there's a good chance that George is dead. Yeah. And that's actually a great scene in it because within that Tommy, everybody's going apeshit because they think George is dead.
Yeah.
And they're like, right now Tommy's shitting his pants.
Right.
Because if he is dead, then he knows he's dead because there's no difference of burying two bodies once you're burying one.
Right.
And the look on him as the world around him is utter chaos and he has just one tear coming out and just the fear in his eyes. Such a great scene. Yeah. Within an action caper film kind of about the underworld you don't often see.
Yeah.
But it's what we brought up earlier, he's got a lot of balls to juggle in the air. He does it really seamlessly going back
you mean Guy Ritchie?
Yeah.
A lot of storylines.
Yeah. Sorry. In between various storylines, like he ping-pongs around and sometimes he'll pair two up that similar things are happening simultaneously, like when Bricktop is going after is it Tyrell or Tyrone, the fat black guy?
Yeah.
And simultaneously, Statham is going up against the Pikeys.
Yeah.
Made the bet of the dogs versus the rabbit. And Bricktop catches his rabbit.
Yeah.
And Statham's, gets away and he loses. But just the great duality or the juxtaposition of those two scenes happening simultaneously.
Yep.
He did a great job of that. The only thing, I watched it for this. Sometimes the soundtrack is excellent now, all these years later.
Yeah.
And other times it is jarringly dated to me. Which is like, wow, that is a moment in time song.
Oh, wow.
Well, it just reminds me of whatever that was, 2001,
gotcha.
2002,
Mm-hmm.
so distinctly. And others to me are a little bit more timeless.
Yeah.
Especially like the first two scenes they have with all the black characters.
Yeah.
There's two songs. I remember when I rewatched it for this, I was just like, wow, there'd be a different choice made today. A lot of other songs we've got. When Gorgeous George gets knocked out. Brown Sugar. Or Golden Brown. Golden Brown. Just a great song. You pick that in, they pick it up right in the front.
The God's Eye View spiraling out.
Was
brilliant.
Like, great song.
Yeah.
And the song with the dog scene versus that it's like the precursor to dubstep.
Yeah.
But it doesn't sound so dated.
Yeah.
It holds up, and plus it just has momentum and feel, so it fits the scene. And then other times it's just like, oh, wow, that is whatever year this came out, that was a...
Yeah, when he's walking with the dog and it's like...
Yeah, there's like a Jamaican Rasta-type feel song that's kind of been updated with a ska element to it. It's like, this song doesn't work.
But you have great names, great characters. Bullet Tooth Tony, Vinnie Jones. Raid Sherbagia plays Boris the Blade. Benicio, Four Fingers Frankie. They're so distinctly interesting as characters, yet there's still a menace in the film that you can't escape from. That's what's so good about the film is it's funny, but it still has that kind of like real shit going on. Even from the beginning, the fact that in the opening credits, Benicio and his crew of thieves are dressed up as Orthodox Jews to rob
diamond traders.
To rob a Jew. To rob this huge diamond.
And Benicio's
so ballsy.
What I assume New York Jewish guys sound like is pretty believable to me.
It's so believable.
Yeah, I haven't hung out with too many with the curled locks down the side.
Yeah.
I know that has a name. I cannot think of that name for the life of me.
Hasidic or Orthodox?
Yeah, but the curls themselves have a name.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, I don't know.
Yeah, I've asked because I've had numerous Jewish friends over the years, and now living in Hollywood.
Yeah,
it's kind of impossible not to have Jewish friends.
Yeah. True. Well, where I live now in Hollywood by the Grove. It is.
You got Russians down there.
Well, but also it's a huge Jewish community in the residential areas.
You see guys walking past with the chimney sweep hats.
Absolutely, with their wives behind, going to the temple, going to services with the robes and everything on. It's the suits. It's fascinating It's a fascinating culture to watch from the outside.
On the side streets through there, once you're off of the mains of Wilshire and Melrose, they are brazenly just walking, crossing streets, knowing you're stopping.
No, my God!
But I've seen numerous guys, old guys, walk out right in front of a car and be like, "Wow." It's interesting because nowhere else in LA does this happen. Just in this pocket right here, and I think everybody somehow you figure it out real quick.
Yeah, I've lived there for almost 6 years now. I accept the fact that they don't stop at stop signs sometimes.
Just walk,
and they'll just walk right. No, I don't. I mean driving too. Sometimes I've seen a few of the gentlemen there, and the women too, like just roll through a stop sign. No problem in their big Vanagons, and I'm just like, you just have to accept it that this is part of it, and it's because in essence this is their territory, and so you just kind of respect the fact that they feel they can do as they wish. It's not mean in any way; it's just the way that they function and operate within. And it's not everyone; it's just some of them, So it's an interesting situation. Anyway, so to start off, they steal the diamond, which starts the process of Frankie starting the betting and then losing all the money, and then he gets killed on accident, and then they have to chop off his hand because the diamond's in the suitcase. And the whole reason Dennis Farina's coming over is to get that diamond from Doug the Head, the British dude who was in EastEnders for a long time, and his twin daughters, which is hilarious. That guy has a great moment because he's not even Jewish. He's faking being Jewish.
Oh, yeah, he's faking just because he thinks it'll help him on the business end. But as a diamond trader, he's probably not wrong.
When he walks into his shop and those young Jewish kids are out.
Oh, they're out in front, yeah.
And they're smoking and doing their gangsters. He just says,
it's a free country.
Yeah.
It's not a free business. Now, fuck off.
Fuck off.
It's like, all right. He just gave you the business.
Yeah. No, it's great. That's what's so great about the film is the introduction to all these characters is just very distinct. Like Bullet Tooth Tony is like slamming some dude's head.
The bonjour. Yeah. But I love that his tie into the world is because he took those bullets and melted them down, and then the head made him into teeth for him.
Yeah.
So that's how the head knows him. That's a great reason. That is a great reason for him to know someone like that.
Yeah.
Because as a diamond seller or wholesaler, whatever he is, you really shouldn't know too many thugs. You know what I mean? You need to divorce yourself. Yes, that does exist in your world, but a little taste here and there, fine. Yeah. He did a great job. And with other directors, I can't think of any off the top of my head, but sometimes okay, if you're going to name a guy Bricktop, then maybe you this dude is just Dave. And this dude is just, but he kept going with a lot of different names, but it kind of worked because there was just the Tommy.
Yeah.
And Turkish was named after the airline that crashed, and that's how his parents met or something along those lines. I don't remember, even though I just watched it. But it's at the very beginning of the film, and I started it, and I was kind of doing something else while I started watching it again, figuring I could get away with it for a couple minutes. But Turkish is fine because, my uncle's name is Trey, but it's only because it's George Blaine III, but I didn't know it was a nickname Trey until I was like 15.
Oh, wow.
Because nobody calls him George.
Wow.
But I got a check one year for a birthday or something. It said George Bland III. And I was like, who the fuck is this?
George Blanda?
Bland.
Oh, okay. I thought it was a kicker from the Raiders.
No. And my mom was like, that's your uncle. And I was like, his name is George? It's like, I had no idea. Trey is way cooler. But sometimes you get a nickname and it supplants.
Yeah.
Like my grandpa was Sonny to the vast majority of people in his life. Mm-hmm. Just like everybody called him Sonny.
Yeah.
Like, okay, that's just what you're called. All right.
It's what's hitting me now is fascinating about Guy Ritchie films, for the most part, there's not really a love story in any of his films. Even in Sherlock Holmes, there wasn't really a love story.
Or Swept Away.
Swept Away, right, exactly, which is a terrible remake. But like, yeah, and so there's not a lot. There's not a female protagonist.
Well, I mean, you could say a little bit within the Sherlock Holmes.
Well, sure, but that's built into the story.
Yeah.
His own stories doesn't really have. I mean, Rock and Rolla was the one that actually had a little bit with Tandy Newton.
And I thought that was way better than people gave it credit for.
Oh, I loved Rock and Roll.
I saw the theater and I walked out and I was like, this is great. Why is this only at like
Yeah.
upper 60s, low 70s on Rotten Tomatoes and Metacritic was, lukewarm on it? I was like, it's way better than that, guys.
Oh, it's so good. Revolver is the
Never
one
saw
that
it.
doesn't work. Don't ever see it. It's a waste. But Rock and Rolla was good. And so, so maybe but it's in the first two films, he didn't really have much of a love story. And there's no love story, actually. There's no like romantic interest from anybody in the film. It's all just dudes doing the stuff that they're doing, trying to figure themselves out.
At all. There's nothing.
Yeah. I love the fact that Boris the Blade is unkillable. I love that he keeps surviving
when
these
Vinny
situations.
just got to keep shooting him at the end. He's incredulous when he turns back. Like, are you fucking... Finally, you can tell he just lines up one for his head or something.
Right.
Takes that final shot.
Yeah. But there's, like I said, the menace is never far away. I mean, it's really when they're putting the black dude in the body bag, the huge black dude in the body bag, and after they've used the dog to capture him. It's real shit. When he's talking about feeding
the men to the pigs and like breaking it down to 200-pound men.
God,
you need at least 16 pigs. You got to starve them for X. Yeah, Bricktop was a great villain.
You know what Nemesis means? He's great lines.
I know,
and he's scary as shit through the whole film. Like when those near the beginning, when those two dudes, one guy turns on the other guy and sells him out. He like takes care of the one dude, but then he says, "I can't trust you because you sold out your friend," and takes care of him. It's
because he's asking him. He's talking to that one underling, the first one he kills, and it's just like, get your tongue out of my ass. The reason he's supposed to fight is what, to do me proud? Yeah. Like, shut the fuck up. That doesn't make any sense from anybody's perspective.
Yeah.
I just love that's the introduction really to Bricktop as a character. Yeah. And it just, you see how evil that son of a bitch is from moment one. But he's great. At no point is it over the top.
Nope.
It's always measured like when the first fight loses and he passes the two guys and they're like, I just wasted how much money with you? But you can tell they're uneven standing.
Yeah.
Right now he's scratching their back and, later on they'll be scratching his back.
Right.
And the other dude stops him and he's like, thanks for the tip, Bricktop. Oh. And he's like, when I decide to throw a dog a bone, I don't need to know afterwards if that bone tasted good or not. And he's just fucking like, oh, that is a great
I think
turn.
He grabbed his nuts. I think he grabbed his nuts, didn't he?
I thought he just cut like his leg or something near his nuts.
Oh, yeah.
He's like holding on to his nuts and like then he just cut. It was like, I could have fucking flayed you if I wanted to. But that was a great twist of understanding the situation. Yeah. Exactly. We are equals or somewhere comparable.
Yeah.
You are fucking nothing.
Right.
And I could murder you in front of all these people and nobody's turning on me.
Nobody says shit.
Exactly. Nobody's to say a goddamn thing, so shut up.
Yeah.
Oh, it's great.
And how he progresses to the situation. And like everyone is, what I love about the film as well, dude, is all the great voices that everyone has, the accents, the British, like the different areas of that they're coming from, they're using their accents. It's just enriching to watch that. So many different, even when he like pulls that dude aside and puts his tie in the car,
that's so great.
Which is just a brilliant way.
Well, and that guy, somebody. Like you see him. That's what we were talking about earlier. Like actors, exactly. Yeah. It was like, Trainspotting guy. Yeah. I love this guy.
Yeah.
Throws his shit on people. One of my favorite scenes.
That's right.
So glad I get to see him again, and he's in a perfect. It's got to suck for him though, because he's more than that, but he plays this character, and so he knows that the world views him like that. Now he's gotten to do other things.
Sure, he's in Pearl Harbor. Randomly, yeah.
But he was in another. What was it? Where I watched him, he got to play like just with Bill Nighy. He did a TV show, the something trilogy. I watched it with my wife. It's a BBC show.
Oh,
the Warwick trilogy.
Sure.
something like that.
Okay.
He plays
a cop.
No, like their version of a CIA spook, an MI6 spook.
Yes.
So
that's on Netflix.
It might be.
I saw it on Netflix the other day. Yeah.
We watched it, I don't know, like 6 months ago or something.
Nice.
So I can't remember where I watched it, but I streamed it off of somewhere online. But anyway, yeah, that guy's great. And when he pulls him in the tie, and it's like, I love the line of, it's kind of ironic that this tie is what got you into this situation right now.
That you're in.
Don't you look good? Don't you look smart in that tie? You asshole. That's a shitty tie is basically what he's saying.
Yeah.
He fucking chokes him with it.
I like the deep accent of him. He's doing a very deep, Scottish.
Oh, you want to talk? What about Brad Pitt?
Yeah, that's what I was getting to. Like all these great accents, and then you have Pitt doing.
I don't understand a third of what he's saying.
No.
And the thing is, I know he's saying something because he is the rest of the time. So it's a matter of deciphering.
Yeah.
With your own little enigma encoder in your brain going, oh, what was that? What was that? Before the periwinkle blew.
Yeah.
I know he wants a caravan, but what options does he want? I don't understand.
What's a big fella?
Yeah. When he's talking to him there, he says something when he starts dancing around.
Yeah.
I rewound it 3 times when watching it. I still have no idea what he says. I don't know how to, and he brisks his nose with his left thumb. Right. He says something right there. And I'm like, I fucking no clue what you just said. Let me rewind.
Now, even his mom, right? Do you like that?
I can understand her a little bit better than I could Pitt once he starts rolling through it.
I love her accent.
Yeah.
There's no murder in here. I don't mind telling you. And then he invites for the dogs. So we're like introduced to the pikey culture, which I've never seen ever on screen, but it's a legitimate thing in England. The pikey culture, gypsies, doing
man,
the things they do. Yeah, right.
Gypsies.
So it's what he's a fucking hate pikeys. But that's the whole thing. Now we get this thrown into the situation, right? And of course they come out on top because nobody knows how to hustle better than gypsies. Or in essence, pikeys.
Isn't it just weird though? Because gypsies seem like such a medieval thing that ceased to exist.
Oh well, if you're born into it,
no, like as a culture, like
okay,
because we don't experience it. So to me, it only exists in books, and shit like this,
right?
So it almost seems unbelievable that there are still people that are just nomadic and scam their way through their entire existence,
right?
That's baffling that still can somehow exist on that level where everybody knows they're fucking gypsies,
right? But they get stuff like the caravans. That's how they make their living, right? They bamboozle people. They lie to people. They get these little things. And because people are like trying to buy something expensive at the cheapest possible way, they're like, who are you going to fucking complain to? There's no better business bureau that you're going to complain to about.
Oh, yeah. There's no repercussions.
Yeah, exactly. So
plus, you're outnumbered 50-2 right now. Exactly. So
with some pretty hairy fucking people, too.
Yeah, but even then, like later on, they can more than handle their own against Bricktop's best.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. Such a great
twist.
Yeah.
And the voiceover that happens at that moment where they get caught and they make that face in the still frame when they're like this and Brad Pitt's face is chill.
The shots off screen.
Yeah.
And Mickey stays frozen and Turkish and Tommy flinch.
Yeah.
He's like, what does he know that we don't? And then just the cut to, here's what he knows.
Yeah.
And I love the build on that because Bricktop at the start of that scene is on his phone and he hears the shotgun. So you as an audience only hear that and you assume, oh, he executed his plan to take out the pikeys.
Right.
And then come to see the full context of it fleshed out and be like, no, he got his comeuppance twofold.
Yep. I've got your shooter, you cunt you. I love the way they say that word. I'm sorry. I know people don't like that word. I just love the way the British say that word.
I picked up saying, cunt. I've said it a few times on the show. From watching British movies and stuff like that, because sometimes it's a great insult of like, you're worse than a lot of things, right? Like you're just the visceral, like vitriolic, everything nasty that I can think of.
Yeah. When
they say it in the movies like this, you're just a fucking cunt. And then,
what do you think about like it was so random for Benicio to be in this movie, right? I mean, it was almost like. It was such a throwaway part. Like he had a great opening.
He's in the opening third,
and then
to half-ish.
Maybe not even that, dude. Opening 10 minutes because he's killed really immediately. 10, 15 minutes.
No, he makes it longer than that.
Does he?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because then they have to tie him up and they have to take him back to the pawn shop, and then Boris has to show up and Boris has to kill him.
Right, but his body's in it, but he's not. You don't even know if it's him in the thing.
Oh yeah, at that point, it may or may not be. Who knows?
Right.
Knowing how committed he seems to get to parts, I'm guessing that's him.
Yeah.
Of like, well, what are you going to get, a body double? Might as well just have me. Because I'm sure there was a quick shooting schedule. It's not like there's a ton of
probably not
big explosions and whatnot to set up. there's only a couple of extravagant scenes that you need a lot of people, like in the boxing ring, and stuff like that. But outside of that, it's pretty minimalistic.
That boxing sequence at the end, fucking so good, man. I mean, the music, using Oasis fucking in the bushes, fucking that song after that, I'd never heard it before. And after that movie, I immediately made my workout mix forever. Like, that's such a great, awesome song that just gets you in the fucking mood to work out and like lift weights or do something crazy, you know? And so to watch, and it's one of my favorite sequences on film in terms of boxing. For him to get punched into midair in slow motion, almost horizontal.
Oh, he is fully horizontal.
Yeah.
He is fully horizontal.
Right?
And at one point.
And then splash into
down
the water,
the water.
because that's what that feels like.
Exactly. Yeah. He feels like he's swimming.
Yep.
Because your whole world is just chaotic. Your inner ear's all fucked and your balance and vertigo is happening. But he's swimming below, like he's now looking up at himself, getting that shit kicked out of him.
Right.
And then once he catches back up to his body, just fucking crushes. And it looks so real.
It really does, man.
Yeah.
And the sounds are real. That scream sound to the punch, which happens both times, both when he knocks out Gorgeous George near the beginning of the movie, and then in that moment when he knocks out that other bare knuckle guy. I love the grittiness of the film. They treat the film during that sequence with a graininess, and I enjoy watching that because it makes it feel like you're really down in the areas.
The grime.
Yeah,
exactly. You're in the gutters. Exactly. Everything takes place in a pawn shop or an alleyway or a fucking dirty gym.
Right.
I wonder if those boxing sequences, like how much of that gave him confidence when he went to pitch Sherlock and be like, this is how I'm going to shoot Sherlock's fighting.
Probably true, man.
Because they did that reverse of, I'm going to show you how I get there, and then, boom, show you in real speed.
Exactly.
But he used a lot of those close shots to show impact and whatnot. You could see the genesis of like, oh, I see where you eventually get to. Yeah. But maybe when you're going into pitch, like, I should be the director for this, trust me. And here's like an interesting take of, you've never seen a shot like this before. But it's cool to look at it, post fact.
Sometimes people say like, "Oh, it's not a Sherlock Holmes. It's not really Sherlock Holmes." Listen, you know how difficult it is to modernize Sherlock Holmes. Like, that works for the screen, just like Sherlock works for the small screen. Sherlock Holmes, the Guy Ritchie Sherlock Holmes, works for the big screen.
Oh yeah,
you could not take the TV version and put it on screen.
No, it'd be too boring.
Yes,
you need all the little mini action sequences and the kind of the over the top, the stuff that Sherlock isn't really known for, to sell it as a tentpole type of film.
Exactly.
Yeah, you have to have the best of both. He still has his smarts.
Yeah.
He's still outwitting guys, but at the same time, he can throw a punch.
Yeah, but also there's his weaknesses, and that's the Sherlock Holmes character is fraught with his own weaknesses. So that's why I think it works,
Well, within that, though, if you want to compare the two, in the movies, I think he shows a lot more of his flaws.
Yes.
As opposed to the TV show, they come up every once and again, but for the most part, he floats through unscathed.
Right, and you like his flaws because it's not happening to you.
Yeah.
If you were any of those characters experiencing his flaws, it would drive you insane, which is what is some of the charm of the show as well. So overall, you recommend?
Yeah, no, I like both films.
Yeah.
Now, having seen it, I'm glad we did Snatch because it's been so long, and I've seen Lock, Stock a couple of times since the last time I've seen Snatch. Yeah. So it was like, oh, okay, sweet. Oh, I forgot this is the sequence of, or how we build up to this. I mean, I'm glad Guy Ritchie now does other things.
Yeah.
Because after this, I was like, shit, he could just get in the habit of remaking the same film, and I hope he doesn't.
Ritchie kind of did with Rock and Rolla and Revolver.
But Rock and Rolla came years later.
Yeah, true.
So it was enough time where I was like, all right, I'm ready for another Guy Ritchie kind of ensemble crime piece.
Right. But this is like you were saying, Matt, at the beginning, this is a more expansive piece. And for people who put this, sometimes you hear reviewers, people put this down as like, oh, it's a little gangster movie. Bullshit. This is almost Robert Altman in terms of the amount of storylines that are occurring.
Yeah.
And then wrapping them into each other.
There's 6, 7, 8 going on.
Yeah.
Until characters start getting weeded out.
Yeah.
But even then, you end up with 3 or 4 to close the movie.
Right.
And ultimately, 3 simultaneously come to a head in that back alley.
Right, exactly.
But there's numerous, and you are invested. In no point, like, in Lock, Stock, you could cut out, like, the 2 bumbling idiots to go after the shotguns.
Yes.
And they wouldn't be a huge detriment. They're great comedy, and I love them in the film.
Right.
Whereas in this, like, the pawn store owners, I guess they are, they're kind of that in this one.
Yeah.
But they serve a greater function.
Yeah.
And they move the process of the story along a lot more than the Shotgun guys are just kind of ancillary. They're fun. They provide comedy.
Yeah. I love their fake guns. Hilarious.
Yeah, the replicas.
When they try to, the fact that I can read Desert Eagle on the side of your guns when they try to shoot Vinny in the bar is hilarious. Like the way they each get called out in their certain situations, it's just such an inventively funny film, man. For a little gangster film like that genre, it's such a uniquely interesting and fun film.
And I think it's cheap to say that he's just a Tarantino knockoff for Reservoir.
That's a shit.
I think that's lazy.
Absolutely.
I think you're not really watching the film.
Totally.
Like, sure, they're both, I guess, multi-layer crime, not multi-layer, but multi-character crime story, sure. But it's not like Tarantino fucking created that.
It's all in one box.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas Guy Ritchie has all these different storylines operating throughout the whole film.
Yeah, and I guess, they all have interesting names or a bunch of them. But at the same time, like, I'm assuming the crime world has dudes with a lot of interesting names.
I'm sure it does.
Every time we watch, like, a crime movie that's based in real life, there's always a couple dudes that everybody just calls by their nickname.
Yeah, yeah.
It just seems inevitable. So
I agree.
And it's not like they're the most intelligent as an aggregate.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Subculture. It's not like criminals as a whole are fucking Mensa candidates.
Right, exactly.
There are some within that maybe should be doing other things with their mental power as opposed to running a crime empire or something.
Like those Dave and Buster guys, yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Those guys should be running as CEOs.
They should be figuring out something statistically or playing odds or doing something else. They're gaming a system. They're making money. Yeah.
Ugh. All right. Well, thanks everybody for listening to this week's Thunderdome. Both of us give it. What do we should come up with something. What do we give it? What's a Thunderdome thing that we could give it? We're not going to do 2 thumbs up. We got to do something else, man. We got to figure something out.
I have no idea.
2 flaming dicks up. That's what we would say.
Wow.
No.
Why?
Too far?
Why?
Too far?
Did you? Right. It's not even too far. It's a question of why.
Well,
2 flaming dicks. So I'm rock hard for this movie, and it's on fire.
And it's on
How
fire.
is this first off not gay? Flaming rock hard dicks.
What's wrong with being gay, dude?
There's nothing wrong with it.
2016, dude.
But there's 2 of us in this room. There's nobody around. And we're about to give our flaming dick rating scale.
I think
for
you're
a
coming
movie.
around. I feel like you're coming around on it the more you say it.
It's more so sounds like, gonorrhea or syphilitic
you
or something.
You should see how unsettled you are.
It's just,
your fingers are
well, because
everywhere.
I'm thinking of, like, we have some publication or something, and there's just this stiff flaming dick. And we have our X number up printed somewhere.
All right. We'll think of something else. We should give it something.
Maybe we should give it a little thought before.
2 fist bumps. Maybe 2 fist ups.
I'm way more on board with that.
Okay, 2 fist bumps. We'll do that for now. We should figure something out, though. I don't know. Maybe not. We should figure something out.
2 flaming dicks. I just don't know why that was the first choice.
I thought it was a funny visual.
Sure.
Listen, I've had a long day.
Yes,
man.
you have.
I've been going since 8 a.m. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for listening to us. Once again, we always appreciate your comments, your votes, and what have you, especially on Thunderdome.
Yeah, and please get your vote in by tomorrow at noon Pacific Standard. Or pardon me, Friday noon Pacific Standard Time.
Yeah,
because this comes out on Wednesday, and it's already up on Facebook. The only place to vote is on Facebook, and the thing is that I know between YouTube and iTunes and Stitcher and everything else, we have thousands upon thousands of people that are downloading and listening to this, and yet not voting.
Yes,
so might as well make your 2 cents heard,
right?
Because I can see the download numbers, and I see that we have almost 900 likes on Facebook.
Yeah,
there's so many fold over that.
Yeah.
Downloading is just like, well, it's great that you guys are listening, but might as well be active participants.
Right.
Vote. Tell people that, get your vote in there so you can gloat when you win.
Exactly. It's the top 10 podcasts with 10 being the numbers. So find the top 10 podcast on Facebook and like us. And then you can vote and all that kind of stuff. Follow us on at Top 10 Show on Twitter, at Top 10 Podcast on Instagram, Matt at Matt Nost, me at The Roca Says. And keep commenting and keep voting on iTunes as well, please.
Keep rating. Yeah. I didn't know we had a special thing going on. Oh, we giving some shit away or something? We got a special DVD coming out. Actually, I got a box of VHS tapes.
Hey-o.
We can start. If you send me a SAISY, although that don't really work with
VHS
self-addressed stamped envelope.
Hello. Okay. But Flaming Dicks is gay. Okay, that's fair.
How is that even comparable?
Sazy?
Sazy.
It sounds a little gay.
You've never mailed in for something, you got to put a self-addressed stamped envelope in? You put
I do, but I've never called it a Sazy.
Sazy, baby.
That makes it much better. Sazy, baby.
Sazy, baby. It's better than two flaming dicks.
Well, all right, fine.
I can't believe you're fighting me on this. You should backpedal. You should really backpedal. You should turn politician and be like, I never said that.
You know what? I don't know what you're talking about.
Exactly.
We're going to edit this out.
I got the best people going over the transcripts. They said I didn't say it.
Dick Nixon would never say that.
But that's it for this week. Thanks for listening. I got nothing else.
Take care, everybody.